What if you lost everything right now? Not because you failed, not because someone cheated you, just because life decided to. One moment you're wealthy, respected, secure. The next, you're standing on a shore, watching your entire existence disappear under black water. Would you break? Most would, but one man didn't. And what he did instead created the most powerful mindset the world has ever known. A mindset that has survived shipwrecks, prisons, and empires. A philosophy to become undefeatable. This is Stoicism. That man was Zeno, a wealthy trader in Cyprus around 300 BC. His ship, loaded with priceless cargo, sank. He lost it all. But Zeno didn't curse the gods. He didn't cry for months. Instead, he asked a terrifying question that most people spend their whole lives avoiding. What is truly under my control? He began studying philosophy. He devoured Socrates. He realized something that changed history. We can't control the wave, but we can control how we sail the ship within. Zeno founded Stoicism, not as a lecture, but as an armor for the mind. But the real secret he discovered is something most people completely misunderstand. And that secret is the reason why, centuries later, an emperor and a prisoner both use it to conquer the world and themselves. I'll reveal that secret in exactly 60 seconds. But first, you need to see the illusion that's destroying your peace every single day. There is one sentence that, if you truly understand it, will instantly reduce 90% of your anxiety. Epictetus, a slave who became a great Stoic teacher, wrote, "The chief task in life is simply this, to identify and separate matters, so that I can say clearly to myself which are externals not under my control, and which have to do with the choices I actually control." Read that again. Most of our suffering comes from trying to control the uncontrollable, the opinion of others, the economy, the traffic, the past, the weather. Rain is beautiful, but if you're caught without an umbrella, you curse it, yet you don't cry over rain because you expected it. You accepted that you can't control the sky. Now, imagine applying that same calm to a job rejection, a breakup, a failure. The event isn't the wound. The expectation you attach to it is. But knowing this is enough. The Stoics had a brutal exercise to burn this truth into your bones. One that sounds crazy, but is scientifically proven to build resilience. I'll tell you what it is, and you'll want to try it tonight. Stoics practiced voluntary discomfort. They slept on the kitchen floor. They took cold showers. They wore rough clothes. They fasted, not because they hated comfort, but because they wanted to ask themselves a question. Is this the condition I so feared? And when they survived it, the fear vanished. Seneca, one of the richest men in Rome, would set aside days to live as a poor man, to remind himself that he could survive without luxury. This practice rewires your brain. It tells your mind, even if I lose the house, the money, the status, I will still be okay. In a world where ads scream, you are not enough unless you buy this. Stoicism hands you a quiet, unshakable power. You become the source of your peace. Not your car, not your followers, not your salary. Now, all this sounds good in theory, but does it actually work when life hits you with its worst? Here's a story that proves it. A man who spent 27 years in a concrete box and came out not broken, but transformed. Nelson Mandela fought against apartheid and was sentenced to life imprisonment, 27 years. He had every right to bitterness, rage, and a burning desire for revenge. But in his tiny cell, he read Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor. He absorbed the core lesson. You can't control your captors, but you can control your mind. When he was finally released and became president of South Africa, everyone expected a bloodbath of vengeance. Instead, Mandela preached reconciliation. He told his people, the past is beyond our control. The only thing we can do is build a better nation today. He set up the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. He invited his former jailers to his inauguration. That is Stoicism in flesh and blood, not weakness, the ultimate strength. But the real question is, how do you right now, in your ordinary life, actually rewire your brain like that? Well, modern psychology found the answer, and it looks exactly like what the Stoics taught 2,000 years ago. Today, therapies like REBT and logotherapy are based directly on Stoic principles. REBT helps you identify irrational beliefs. I must be liked by everyone. I must succeed or I'm worthless, and destroy them with logic. Exactly what Marcus Aurelius did in his journal. Logotherapy, created by Holocaust survivor Viktor Frankl, says humans can endure any suffering if they find meaning. Frankl wrote a phrase that is pure Stoicism. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. That space is your superpower. When someone insults you, pause. When failure hits, pause. In that half second, you reclaim your freedom. You stop being a puppet of external events. But to master that pause, you need the 4 anchors that keep a Stoic steady, and they are simpler than you think. Stoicism rests on 4 virtues. Wisdom, knowing what you can and cannot control. Courage, the 2-word mantra, persist and resist. Persist in your virtues. Resist the noise. Temperance, doing more with less. Saying more with fewer words. Not poverty, but freedom from wanting more. Justice, treating others with fairness, because we are all citizens of the same world. Here's the trap. We chase external things, money, fame, a perfect relationship, hoping they'll fill a hole inside us. But Seneca warned, learning to live with less creates space for the things that truly matter to you. Space. Space to think. Space to breathe. Space to actually live, not just accumulate. And this brings us back to that sinking ship. The one Zeno watched go down. What if the ship of your life sank tomorrow? What would remain? Because the truth is, everything has an end. And that's not a sad thought. It's the most freeing one you'll ever hear. Zeno lost his cargo, but he found philosophy that turned a shipwreck into a foundation. Mandela lost 27 years, but he built a nation on forgiveness. Frankl lost everything in the camps, but he discovered meaning, and his work saved millions. Stoicism doesn't promise you a storm-free life. It promises you a mind that remains standing in the storm. It says, expect the worst, not to be pessimistic, but to be prepared, so that when it comes, and it will, you can look at it calmly and say, this is what I trained for. So tonight, try this. Sleep on the floor, take a cold shower, or simply sit and imagine losing the thing you're most afraid to lose. And when you survive the feeling, you'll realize you were never as fragile as you thought. You've always had the power to be undefeatable. It just took a shipwreck to remember. If this spoke to you, share it with someone who needs it. And if you want to keep fortifying your mind, you know what to do. Until next time, stay stoic.